Hecate explained, the true goddess of witchcraft and forbidden magic. We hear the name Hecate, and we think of darkness, of shadowy covens, of malevolent spells, of the archetypal crone stirring a cauldron under a black moon. She has become a caricature of witchcraft, a simple goddess for a simple fear of the dark. But this is a profound misunderstanding of one of the most ancient, most powerful, and most complex deities in the Greek pantheon. What if her domain was not evil but choice? What if her crossroads were not just places of black magic, but the very intersection of past, present, and future? And what if her infamous association with the night and the dead was not because she was a goddess of darkness, but because she was the only one brave enough to carry a torch into it? Today, we journey to the liminal spaces, to the thresholds between worlds, to the moonless nights where the veil is thin. We will uncover the story of a goddess who predates the Olympians, a titan who was not overthrown, but honored, a being whose power is not about cursing her enemies, but about understanding the terrible, unseen consequences of every path we choose to walk. Welcome to Mythos Unveiled. Today, we seek to explain Hecate, not as a simple goddess of witches, but as the cosmic keeper of the crossroads, the guardian of forbidden magic, and the silent witness to all our fateful choices. To understand Hecate, we must first understand that she is old, older than Zeus, older than the Olympian order itself. She is not a daughter of Cronus, not one of the siblings who fought in the great Titanomachy for dominion over the cosmos. She is a titan of the second generation, her lineage a map of her complex and powerful nature. Her father was Perses, the titan of destruction and waste. Her mother was the beautiful Asteria, the titaness of falling stars and nocturnal prophecy, of the wisdom that can only be found in the deep of night. Hecate was born of destruction and starlight, of endings and fleeting, prophetic glimpses of the future. Her very parentage marks her as a being of profound and powerful contradictions. When the great war between the Olympians and the Titans raged across the cosmos, a 10-year conflict that tore families and realities apart, Hecate made a choice. Unlike many of her kin, who clung to the old, crumbling order of the Titans, she did not side with them. Nor did she remain neutral. She, with her prophetic insight, sided with the future. She sided with Zeus. She fought alongside the future king of the gods, her Titan powers a formidable asset to the Olympian cause. And when the war was won, when the last of the Titans were cast into the dark, inescapable pit of Tartarus, Zeus, the new king, did not punish Hecate. He did not strip her of her powers or her domain, as he did with so many others. Instead, he did something remarkable, something that speaks to her unique and respected position in the cosmos. He honored her. He decreed that Hecate would retain all of her ancient privileges and powers. Her dominion was not limited to a single realm. She held sway over the earth, the untamed sea, and the starry heavens. She was given a unique place in the new Olympian order, not as a subject, but as a respected and independent power. Zeus, the king who demanded loyalty above all else, not only respected her authority but shared a portion of his own power with her. She was given the divine authority to grant or withhold any wish from mortals as she saw fit, a power of immense significance. Why? Why would the new and often paranoid king of the gods show such unprecedented favor to a Titan, a member of the very race he had just violently overthrown? Was it simply a reward for her allegiance in the war? Or did Zeus, in his burgeoning wisdom, understand something profound about Hecate? Did he recognize that she was not a goddess to be ruled, but a fundamental cosmic force that had to be respected, a power that existed outside his direct control but was necessary for the balance of the universe? Hecate was not a goddess of a single place, like a mountain or a river. She was the goddess of the in-between, the liminal spaces, the thresholds, the boundaries. Her most sacred place was the crossroads, specifically the place where three roads meet, the trivium. And this is not just a physical location. It is a profound metaphysical concept. A crossroads is a place of absolute, terrifying choice. It is a point in space and time where the past, the single road you have traveled to arrive, meets the present, the spot where you stand, filled with uncertainty, and diverges into multiple, unknown futures, the roads that lie ahead. To stand at a crossroads is to stand at the very heart of free will and its terrible, wonderful, and inescapable consequences. And Hecate was the guardian of that moment. She is often depicted with three faces, or as three identical figures standing back to back. This is not because she is fickle or two-faced. It is because she sees in all directions of time simultaneously. One face looks back down the road of your past, seeing every choice, every accident, every triumph and tragedy that brought you to this precise moment. One face looks at you, in your present state of indecision, seeing the hopes and fears that war within your heart. And the third, most terrifying and most merciful face, looks ahead, down all the possible paths, and sees the ultimate, unvarnished destination of each one. When a traveler, lost in the dark, came to a crossroads at night and prayed for guidance, Hecate would appear. She would not appear as a glorious, shining Olympian, clad in gold. She would appear as a shadowy figure, her presence felt more than seen, a sudden chill in the air. She was often flanked by her spectral hounds, their eyes glowing like red embers in the dark, and in her hands she held two great, blazing torches. The torches are key to understanding her nature. They are not to provide comfort or to light the way in a simple sense. They are to illuminate the truth. Her first torch would shine a brilliant, unforgiving light back the way the traveler had come, showing him the clear, unchangeable facts of his past, forcing him to acknowledge how he had arrived at this point of decision. Her second torch would shine a light forward, but it would not show the pleasant, easy path itself. It would illuminate, just for a moment, the end of each road, the final, absolute consequence of the choice. If you take this road, her presence would seem to whisper, you will find immense wealth, but you will die alone and unloved, your gold a cold comfort. If you take that road, you will find great love and a happy family, but you will live in poverty and hardship, never knowing a day without struggle. If you take the third road, you will find glory in battle and undying fame, but your life will be brutally, violently short. She did not tell you which path to take. She never made the choice for you. That would violate her very nature, her very reason for being. Her function was not to guide, but to reveal, to provide the terrible, absolute clarity of consequence. The choice, with all its tragic weight, with all its potential for joy and sorrow, was always and irrevocably yours. This is why she was so feared by ordinary people. People do not want to know the true cost of their desires. They want a simple sign, an easy answer, a guarantee of happiness. Hecate offered no easy answers. She offered only the hard, cold, and inescapable truth of cause and effect, and then she would leave you alone in the darkness to make your choice. This brings us to her most famous and most misunderstood domain, magic. Hecate is the great goddess of witchcraft, of sorcery, of the secret arts, of pharmakia. But what is magic in its essence? It is the act of imposing one's will upon reality. It is the act of choosing a desired outcome and bending the very laws of nature to make it happen. It is the ultimate, most powerful expression of choice. Hecate did not grant magical power in the way a king grants a title or land. She was the keeper of the knowledge, the guardian of the crossroads between what is and what could be. A witch or a sorcerer who prayed to her, who left offerings of food for her at the crossroads on a moonless night, was not asking for a gift of power. They were asking for a key. They were asking for the forbidden knowledge of which threads of fate to pull, which cosmic laws to bend, which unseen pathways to walk, to achieve their desired future. And Hecate, as the keeper of these paths, would provide the knowledge. But she always revealed the price. A farmer, his family starving, wishes for a spell to make his crops grow in a time of drought. Hecate might reveal to him an ancient, secret rite, a ritual of blood and moonlight that will indeed call forth rain and make his fields fertile. But she will also show him the consequence, that the life force for his crops, the water for his rain, must be drawn from somewhere else. Perhaps his neighbor's field will turn to dust. Perhaps a spring in a nearby village will run dry. Perhaps his own life will be shortened by a year for every successful unnatural harvest. The power is there. The knowledge is available. But the cost is absolute. There is no such thing as a free wish, a free spell in Hecate's domain. Every act of magic is a transaction, a shifting of weight on a cosmic scale, and the debt must always be paid. This is why her magic was considered forbidden, not because it was inherently evil, but because it was inherently dangerous, and it operated outside the neat, sanctioned laws of the Olympian gods. It was the power to rewrite reality, and mortals, with their short-sighted desires, their passionate rages, and their inability to see the full scope of the consequences, could cause catastrophic, unforeseen damage with it. A love spell cast in a moment of desperate passion could result in an obsessive, monstrous, and ultimately destructive love that consumes both the caster and the target. A curse uttered in a fit of anger could create a spiral of vengeance that consumes entire families for generations. Hecate guarded this knowledge not to hoard it, but because she understood, more than any other god, the terrible, intricate weight of consequence. She was the gatekeeper to a power that most were not wise enough or strong enough to wield. And those who chose to walk her shadowy, moonlit path did so at their own immense peril. The most famous of Hecate's mortal followers were the great sorceresses of myth. Women of immense power, whose stories are almost always profound tragedies. Consider the tale of Medea, the princess of Colchis and a priestess of Hecate. She was a woman of profound, inherited magical knowledge. When the hero Jason and his Argonauts came to her land seeking the golden fleece, she fell deeply and hopelessly in love with him. She used her dark arts, her knowledge of potions and spells given to her by her patron goddess, to help him succeed in his impossible tasks. She betrayed her own father, she murdered her own brother to ensure their escape, and she abandoned her homeland, all for the love of this handsome, charming, and ultimately weak-willed foreign hero. She was using Hecate's power to force a future she desired. And Hecate, the dispassionate keeper of the paths, allowed it. But the consequences, as always, were absolute. Jason, having won his prize and his fame with her help, eventually abandoned her for a more politically advantageous marriage to a Greek princess. And Medea, her heart shattered, her life in ruins, was consumed by a grief that twisted into a monstrous, vengeful rage. The same powerful magic she had used to win her love, she now used to destroy it, murdering her own children to inflict the most profound possible pain upon her unfaithful husband. Her story is a perfect, horrifying example of Hecate's core principle. Magic will give you what you want, but it will not protect you from the consequences of wanting it. Another of her most famous followers was the sorceress Circe, the exile who lived on the island of Aiaia. She had the power to transform men who displeased her into animals. When the hero Odysseus and his crew arrived on her island, she famously turned his men into swine after they greedily devoured the food she offered them. This is often seen as an act of cruel, arbitrary power. But from Hecate's perspective, it was an act of profound and terrible truth. Circe's magic did not turn them into something they were not. Her potion merely stripped away the veneer of their humanity and revealed the greedy, gluttonous, beastly nature that was already present within them. She revealed their true selves. This, too, is Hecate's domain. The magic that reveals, that strips away illusion and forces one to confront the truth, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable it may be. This brings us to Hecate's deep and ancient connection to the dead. She is often called a goddess of ghosts, of necromancy, of the night, and of the underworld. This is not because she is a ruler of the underworld like Hades, or a personification of death like Thanatos. Her connection is, once again, that of a gatekeeper, a guardian of a threshold. The night, especially the new moon, the time of absolute, impenetrable darkness, is a liminal time. It is the time when the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead is at its thinnest. It is a crossroads in time itself, a moment when two worlds touch. And Hecate, as the goddess of all thresholds, has dominion here. She does not command the dead. They are not her subjects. But she holds the keys to the gates that separate them from us. A necromancer who wishes to speak with a spirit, to gain knowledge from beyond the grave, must appeal to her. She is the one who can, for a price, unlock the gate and allow a soul to cross back over that sacred threshold for a brief time to impart its knowledge. She is the guardian of that forbidden, dangerous, and often sorrowful conversation. Her spectral hounds are a key part of this dominion. In ancient Greece, the sound of a howling dog in the dead of night was believed to be a sure sign that Hecate was approaching, walking the roads with her procession of restless ghosts. But these are not just monstrous pets. They are psychopomps, spirits who can travel freely between the worlds. They are her eyes and ears in the realms of shadow. They are the border guards of her liminal kingdom. In some traditions, they are said to be the spirits of the restless, unburied dead, given form and purpose in her service. When you hear the howling of Hecate's hounds, you are hearing the sound of the boundary between life and death being patrolled and maintained. Her crucial role in the great saga of the Olympian gods is best illustrated by her actions during and after the abduction of Persephone. While all the other gods of Olympus remained silent, either out of fear of Hades or a quiet deference to Zeus's will, it was Hecate who acted. She had been in her cave, at her own mystical threshold, when she heard the echo of Persephone's desperate scream as she was dragged into the earth. She alone, the goddess who understands all transitions, recognized the sound for what it was. Taking her two great torches, the torches that illuminate the truth in the darkness, she went to the grieving, raging Demeter. She did not offer false comfort or empty platitudes. She offered knowledge. "I heard the cry," she told the grieving mother, her voice calm amidst the storm of Demeter's sorrow. "But I did not see the face of her abductor. Let us go to Helios, the all-seeing sun, for he sees all that happens in the world of light during the day." She acted as a guide, a bringer of clarity. She guided the desperate Demeter to the chariot of the sun, and it was Helios who confirmed their fears, that Hades, with the silent permission of Zeus, had taken the maiden to the underworld. Here, Hecate is not a goddess of darkness, but a bringer of light, a guide who illuminates the terrible, painful truth, because the truth, no matter how painful, is the first step on any path. And after the bargain of the seasons was struck, after Persephone was fated to spend a third of her year in the underworld as its queen, Hecate's role became even more crucial. She became Persephone's constant companion, her guide, and her chief attendant in the realm of the dead. This was not just an act of friendship. It was a strategic, cosmic necessity. Persephone, the queen of the underworld, was the embodiment of life in the land of death, a profound and necessary paradox. Hecate, the being who can walk freely between all worlds, became her guide, her protector, her chief minister in that dark, twilight kingdom. She was the one who could navigate the complex politics and the shadowy paths of Hades's realm. She became the trusted vizier to the queen of the dead, her torches a rare source of light and truth in a kingdom of eternal gloom. She was the only one who could truly belong in both worlds, and therefore, she became the living, breathing bridge between them, ensuring the passage of the seasons and the stability of two separate, yet interconnected kingdoms. Over the long centuries, as the Olympian order began to fade and new religions, particularly Christianity, rose to prominence, Hecate's image began to change, to darken. Her complexity was often stripped away, her vital role as a guardian of boundaries and a revealer of consequence forgotten. She became increasingly associated only with the most frightening aspects of her domain, with malevolent witchcraft, with ghosts, with demons, with the night. She was transformed from a powerful, neutral, and respected Titan goddess into a figure of pure evil, the archetypal old crone, the patroness of all that was dark, forbidden, and unholy. Her three faces were no longer seen as a symbol of her dominion over time, but as a sign of her deceitful, monstrous nature. But this, in a way, is also true to her nature. She is the goddess of the things that ordered patriarchal societies fear. She is the goddess of female power that is not derived from a husband or a father. She is the goddess of the knowledge that people do not want to have, the uncomfortable truths they do not wish to face, the difficult choices they do not want to make. She represents the uncomfortable and eternal principle that all power comes with a price, that all choices have consequences, and that the greatest and most dangerous magic of all is the freedom to choose your own path, for better or for worse. She is not good. She is not evil. She is necessary. She is the goddess who stands at the midnight crossroads of your life, holding two great torches. One shines a brilliant, unforgiving light on the path that brought you here, forcing you to see every mistake, every triumph, every choice that made you who you are. The other shines a light into the future, illuminating not the paths themselves, but the final, terrible, and wonderful destinations where they end. She does not judge you. She does not help you. She simply illuminates the terrible, wonderful, and absolute reality of your choice. And then she leaves you alone in the darkness to make it. That is her magic. That is her power. And that is why she is, and always will be, the true, eternal, and profound goddess of witchcraft. The most profound magic is not the spell that changes the world, but the knowledge of the true and unavoidable cost of that change. Thank you for walking with us in the moonlight. If this unveiling of a misunderstood and powerful goddess has illuminated your path, show your support by liking this video, subscribing to Mythos Unveiled, and hitting the notification bell so you never miss another journey into the heart of our most secret and powerful legends. Which other god or goddess do you believe is feared only because they are so profoundly misunderstood? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, be careful at the crossroads. The choices you make there will follow you down every path you take, in this world and in the next.